About a month ago, I made a video about sightings of evil gnome-like creatures in Alaska and how these sightings could be connected to some of the mysterious disappearances that happened there. And today, I want to go over another cryptid that the natives, the Inuit people, believe could also be responsible for some of these vanishings. In Alaska, there is a creature that the Inuit people call the Qalupalik, and this cryptid is believed to be like a mermaid, except instead of a pretty woman, it looks more like a creature from a Hollywood horror movie. These creatures are said to hunt around the shorelines of Alaska, and if they want, they can walk on land, but for the most part they like to stay in the cold Arctic waters. These creatures are said to have humanoid-like features. They have long hair that kind of looks like seaweed. They have webbed hands and feet with long claws that help them grasp onto their prey. And what makes this cryptid really unique, according to the stories, is that when they get close or are on the shore, they can emit an ethereal humming noise. And maybe this noise is used to attract human prey, kind of like how a siren would. But when the Inuit hear this humming, they know to get the heck out of that area. Now, just like the gnomes in my last video, these creatures are said to also kidnap children. They're even said to have pouches on their backs so they could carry them. According to some legends, children are their favorite food, but other stories say that they take these children to an underground cave system and slowly over time drain their essence, making these creatures younger, healthier, and stronger. One interesting encounter that I saw on the History Channel happened in 2004 when two friends went out fishing on their boat. While these men were relaxing, having a great time, just enjoying the beautiful Alaska scenery, one of the men felt a massive tug on his fishing pole, so he got up excited hoping to catch this monster fish. And while he was reeling in his rod, his friend claimed that he saw a green human hand reach up and grab the side of their boat. Then the fisherman got pulled overboard, so his friend panicked, got up to help, but his friend was already gone. And he saw in the water a fishtail that reminded him of a mermaid. Now, he probably wouldn't have came to that conclusion if it wasn't for that strange-looking green hand that he saw grab the side of their boat. And today, this fisherman is still missing. Another sighting happened in 2006 when a couple was on a beach during the summer. Well, I'm assuming it was the summer, when the boyfriend wanted to go take a swim. And while he was swimming in the ocean, he felt something grab his ankle and pull him down. And his girlfriend, watching from the beach in horror, saw some aquatic animal swimming right next to her boyfriend. This woman said that whatever this was had green feet and a tail. It is said in folklore that mermaids can walk on land like the Qalupalik, but when they go back into the water they shapeshift back into a fish. Well, at least the bottom half of their bodies anyway. But the Qalupalik doesn't shapeshift. They always have their human legs and feet with little fins all over their bodies, making this an interesting sighting, as this eyewitness claims that she clearly saw a green foot. And I wonder if anyone has ever reported seeing a green humanoid figure walking on the beach. As of yet, I've never come across such a sighting, except of course for the green children of Woolpit. After looking at the map, Woolpit in England is not really that close to the ocean, but I guess it could be possible for children to safely walk there. Although I do remember reading that the locals stated that the green children of Woolpit had on very strange looking clothing. Another strange encounter happened in 2009 when a fisherman just hooked a large king salmon. The fisherman stopped his boat and picked up his net and threw it in the water. And while he was pulling back in the net, he saw what he thought was a seal swimming close to his boat. But when the shadow got closer, he realized that this was not a seal. The dimensions were off. It looked more like a large human than a seal. Then whatever this was grabbed the net and pulled it out of the fisherman's hands. This fisherman was shocked. He later stated that out of all the weird things that had happened to him as a fisherman in Alaska, this incident was by far the strangest. Another strange story happened when local fishermen caught a fish that seemed to have a human bite mark on it. These fishermen were so taken back by this that they called the Missing in Alaska team. I guess they knew they were there in this area investigating. And these fishermen told them to come check out this fish. Then not too long after they arrived, they decided to go get this fish analyzed. The experts stated that it did look like a human took a huge bite out of this fish, except the bite radius was way too big to be that of a human. This expert also stated that it appeared that something grabbed this fish like a human would before it took a bite out of it, as the fish had bruising on both its sides. Now, because these fishermen knew that the Missing in Alaska team was there, it could easily be a hoax. But if so, why would they make the bite radius so big? But if it wasn't for that, I could see a fisherman encouraged by his friends to just grab a fish and take a bite out of it just to mess with the History Channel. One creepy encounter happened when a man, who I'll call Steve, was at the beach with his friend digging for razor clams. While they were digging, Steve's friend wanted to go further down the beach in hopes of finding a better spot. And since it was a foggy day, after a while Steve could no longer see how far down the beach his friend had gone. But about 10 minutes or so later, Steve heard his friend screaming at the top of his lungs. Steve was horrified. This scream sent chills down his spine. So Steve got up as fast as he could and started sprinting down the beach. But he couldn't see his friend anywhere. He did come across his bucket that was tipped over on the sand, but his friend was nowhere to be seen. Now, at first Steve thought that maybe his friend was too deep into the water and a riptide got a hold of him. But as he was scanning the beach, he noticed something very odd. He came across footprints in the sand that were human-like, but they were larger and they appeared to be from a creature that had webbed feet. Now, Steve knew about the mermaid legends, but he never thought they were real. But after this incident and seeing those footprints in the sand, he now believes his friend was taken by the Qalupalik, and today his friend is still missing. Now, one thing that stood out to me while watching this episode is the native who called these creatures the Qalupalik said the exact same thing that they said about the little people, the evil gnomes of Alaska. This native stated that Inuit parents would tell their children not to wander off at night or else the Qalupalik will get you. It is also said that if a child looks into the eyes of one of these creatures, the child could be hypnotized, making it easier for the Qalupalik to take them. One of the most famous mermaid sightings, at least in recent times, happened in 2012 when workers at a dam in Zimbabwe started to vanish. In Zimbabwe, the natives believe, without a shadow of a doubt, that mermaids inhabit their rivers, and these mermaids can be evil. And when it was announced that they were going to build a dam on this river, the locals warned the government that the mermaids were going to be angry as they don't want to be disturbed. But the government just dismissed this as foolish superstition. But soon after the construction started, workers started to vanish. And still to this day, they've never been found. Now, I've covered this before. It is an interesting story. I'll put the link to my mermaid playlist in the description. I have covered a ton of mermaid sightings over the years. Now, this mermaid, the Qalupalik, is indeed an interesting cryptid and one I plan to never meet. But the Qalupalik is just one of many cryptids that the natives believe inhabit the great state of Alaska. Until next time, this is Paranormal Junkie. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned.